Fiber maxing essentially is a trend where people are trying to eat more fiber on purpose.
So a lot of times people just think about poop, right? Like they think that that's the only reason they want to eat fiber, but it actually has so much more to that story than that. It helps to regulate blood sugar. It helps to control our appetite. It is so beneficial for the microbiome. So it's all about balance.
Fiber does so much more than just helps you go to the bathroom.
Your health is shaped by more than symptoms. Through real stories and expert insights, we explore how your genetics, environment, and daily choices affect your well-being. We uncover root causes and share practical tools to help you find the healing you need. Welcome to the Forum Health Integrative Medicine Podcast.
Everyone on TikTok is suddenly fiber maxing. But is this actually the gut health hack we've been missing, or just another trend that's gone too far? Today, we're breaking down what fiber maxing really is, what it does to your body, and whether you should be doing it too. Welcome back to the Forum Health Integrative Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Amanda, and today I am joined by Amber Shuey, health coach in Tampa, Florida. Amber, welcome to the podcast. It is so great to have you on today.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm looking forward to spending this time together.
Me too. Before we jump right in, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a functional medicine certified health coach. I work with Dr. Shilpa Saxena in the Tampa office. I really enjoy being able to be on patients' journeys with them and seeing what kind of optimization they can make to their health.
Absolutely. And I know I've worked with you a lot through our relationship at Forum Health, and you have been such a stable presence for patients when they're on their functional health, functional medicine journey, if you will. And I know we're going to be having you back on our podcast in a few weeks also to talk about your personal story, which is such a powerful one. And I cannot wait to dive into that with you today or in a week or a few weeks. Today, we're here to talk about fiber maxing. So fiber is such a critical thing that we talk to our patients about every day, but there's this trend going on TikTok, fiber maxing. So Amber, what is fiber maxing?
Well, like you mentioned, there's a trend, and that trend is just where people are just trying to get as much fiber as possible. But really, with fiber, we want to do it in a way that benefits the body the most. So that's where health coaching does come in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. There are different types of fiber, which we'll definitely get into. So fiber maxing essentially is just a trend where people are trying to eat more fiber on purpose. And why would somebody want to eat more fiber? What are the benefits of eating more fiber?
Yeah, great. So a lot of times people just think about poop, right? Like they think that that's the only reason they want to eat fiber, but it actually has so much more to it, that story than that. It helps to regulate blood sugar. It helps to control our appetite. It is so beneficial for the microbiome. So it's all about balance, and we'll talk more about that as we go along.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's a reason this trend is happening today also. For the most part, and I've seen this historically with my coaching clients as well, is that fiber is lacking in our food today as it is. And so right now we see most people getting far, far below the recommended amount of dietary fiber that they need. And that can cause some really long-term impacts on overall health and gut health in general. Right now, what most people get per day, I've been finding is around 10 to 15 grams. What is the optimal amount of fiber that people should be getting per day?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, they're saying 25 grams for a woman and 38 for a man, but really that doesn't even tell the whole story. Everybody is different.
Hmm.
So that's why with fiber we like to increase gradually so we can tell what each person's ideal amount is.
Absolutely. And so when you're looking at what the right amount for each person is, before we get into that, let's take a step back. If somebody is chronically not getting enough fiber, what kind of things would they be noticing or experiencing to say, hey, I probably need some more fiber in my diet besides just tracking and being like, oh, I'm only getting 10 grams a day on average. One step anybody could take today, if you're not tracking the amount of fiber you're getting, start tracking to know what your baseline is. Right now, I think a lot of people would be surprised to see that they're not getting as much fiber as they should be getting in their diet. But without tracking and being like, I don't get enough fiber daily, what kind of signs or symptoms would patients look out for to be like, hey, I probably need to add more fiber into my diet?
That's a great question. Basically, struggling with weight would be one of the things because it helps
Hmm.
us to stay satiated. Fiber does. Some other signs and symptoms other than weight would be like we could have bloating, we could have like constant
Hmm.
food noise, wanting to go back and forth to the kitchen when we're not
Absolutely.
really hungry.
Hmm. What I used to notice was one is constipation. Fiber, there's the misconception that like fiber helps you go to the bathroom, which it's not necessarily a misconception. Fiber does. Yes, it helps you go to the bathroom, but that's not all fiber is good for. Fiber will help regulate your blood sugar. And so what that's going to do, like you said, all of that food noise, blood sugar crashes, dips, whatever is going to cause you to crave more, or it's going to have like you're going to have weird mood swings and stuff like that. So if you're experiencing like energy dips, energy crashes, or cravings where it's just like, I need to get a snack constantly, those are signs that you could use some more fiber in your diet. It also supports hormones and detox again, because when you poop, you eliminate toxins, right? So fiber does so much more than just helps you go to the bathroom. It also improves your metabolism, which we'll get into, and it feeds the good micro microbes in your gut, right? So this isn't just a digestive tool, it's a metabolic regulator. It regulates your metabolism by stabilizing your blood sugar, helping you stay full, and reducing those cravings.
Absolutely.
So fiber, before we get into more about how to implement more fiber into your diet, I thought it would be important to talk about the different types of fiber that are out there, because there's soluble fiber and then there's insoluble fiber. And I like to position soluble fiber as the metabolic powerhouse. This is the type of fiber that stabilizes your blood sugar, can help lower cholesterol, can help you with your feeling full longer. And that's where a lot of metabolic magic happens. And so, what are some of the types of soluble fiber, Amber, that you usually recommend to your patients?
Yeah. So for soluble fiber, I think of like beans. So
Hmm.
lentils and beans would be a good source. Apples, oats. Yeah.
Chia seeds,
Yeah. Chia seeds would be great too.
flax seeds, apples, those are all perfect examples of soluble fiber. Let's talk about something no one really wants to talk about, but everyone should: your gut health. If you're dealing with bloating, constipation, irregular digestion, or even blood sugar swings, you might not need another supplement. You might just need better fiber. That's why we love SoluFiber from Inwell Biosciences. This isn't your typical fiber. SoluFiber is a low FODMAP, partially hydrolyzed guar gum, which means it's gentle on your gut. It won't cause gas or bloating and actually helps feed the good bacteria in your microbiome. It supports regular bowel movements, blood sugar balance, gut healing, and microbiome diversity. And the best part, it dissolves completely. No grit, no taste, no hassle. If your gut's been off, this is one of the simplest places to start. Head to shopforumhealth.com to try SoluFiber today. Your gut will thank you. The other type of fiber that we like to talk about with patients and clients is insoluble fiber. And insoluble fiber is what I like to call the movement fiber. So we have the metabolic powerhouse. That's your soluble fiber. And that's what all of that metabolic love happens. And then you have insoluble fiber, which is your movement fiber. This is the type of fiber that doesn't dissolve in water and it adds bulk to your stool and it speeds up the gut transit, meaning it's going to help your gut kind of move things along. And it's important because it may not be a main player for the metabolism or the weight loss, but it's really important for gut health in general. What would you recommend to patients who are looking to get more insoluble fiber into their diet?
Well, non-starchy vegetables would be a great place
Hmm.
to start for that.
Yeah.
And usually people do a little bit better, I would say, with the insoluble than they tend to with the soluble, especially with all of the
Hmm.
like the keto phase. People are focusing on protein, but they're not realizing the benefits that come from that fiber, especially the soluble
Yeah,
piece.
absolutely. And inulin is, I believe that's a type of insoluble fiber that we talk a lot about. And inulin is a specialized prebiotic fiber. And that is in things like garlic and onions and asparagus and chicory root. And that inulin is specifically a soluble fermentable fiber that really helps feed the beneficial gut bacteria in your microbiome. And it also helps with, it ferments into, which I love this topic, it ferments into short chain fatty acids, which are so, so important and powerful. And so this is where the inulin, the gut microbiome, these short chain fatty acids that it creates in your gut, this is where we start to get hormone signaling effects. So fiber is important for all that gut movement. It's great for your metabolism. It's great for weight loss and feeling full. It also plays an impact in hormone signaling.
Mhm.
And that I think is widely looked over.
Yeah, absolutely. You cited one of your favorite topics is the short chain fatty acids, and I love that too
Yeah.
because I don't know if you've heard, Amanda, of the garden analogy where, you plant a garden and if you don't water the garden and fertilize the garden, what happens? It gets overcome with weeds. And that's
Hmm.
the same way with our gut. We have the good bacteria that love the fiber, and
Hmm.
then you have the bad bacteria that love all the low fiber garbage kinds of
The
food.
sugar.
Absolutely. But if we're nice to the good guys in there, then they pay us back so much. They lower inflammation, they improve insulin resistance, they signal to our brain that we're full. It's crazy that these little creatures that live in us can be telling us what to eat. I mean, they actually make us crave. If we're eating those foods, they make us crave them. So that's why it's really intentional. We want to add fiber intentionally and have a diverse fiber diet as well.
Absolutely. Diversity is a big key. You need the soluble, you need the insoluble, you need the fermentable, you need all the different types and you need them in a variety. And I think too, like I used to talk about fiber a lot for when I was doing weight loss coaching with patients. And this was 7, 8, 9 years ago. Well, when I was doing this, and this was before GLP-1s hit the market and they were approved for weight loss and things like that. And I used to talk to both integrative and functional medicine providers. I used to talk to patients about this, about adding fiber in, specifically the inulin and the insoluble fiber for that GLP-1 gut connection. So your body, as we've discussed in previous episodes, peptides are not something foreign to our body. Peptides are something our body already produces. When we give ourselves peptides, we are just supplying our body with more of what our body already should be producing at healthy levels. And we see where GLP-1 is produced in the body, one of the areas that it is produced is in the gut as a byproduct of fiber being digested and fermented in the gut. So your body doesn't just digest fiber, it converts certain fibers into these hormone signals. And when you eat fermentable fiber, which is soluble and fiber and inulin, the gut bacteria ferment that and create these short chain fatty acids. And these short chain fatty acids stimulate L cells in the gut. And these L cells release glucagon, glucagon like peptide 1. That is your GLP-1. Fiber creates your body's natural GLP-1 reserve. Increase your fiber intake, increase your body's natural production of GLP-1s.
Yeah,
That is that's
it is.
amazing.
It is amazing. I love that point. That was what I was thinking when you were saying about the hunger piece, because people, not the GLP-1s are bad. They're not at all. They can be
No.
so helpful for so many different patients. But like you mentioned, this is something our body already makes. So why not
Why
encourage our
not
body
support
to
it?
make it? Yeah.
And, people might be struggling with this too because they might not have a lot of diversity in their gut microbiome. If you're just starting on a gut health journey, you need to and you've got a low diversity in your gut. Like there's different, we could talk about the gut health all day long. Fiber is going to support the diversity. It's going to support feeding all of those good gut microbiomes. So I love that adding fiber to your diet is one of the easiest ways to increase your body's natural production of GLP-1s. So when you do consume fiber, you are getting all of these benefits. One of the benefits is your body's natural production of its own GLP-1s. This is the same pathway that is targeted by drugs like, I actually don't know if I should say these. I shouldn't say
Everybody knows
name
them
names.
anyway, Amanda.
Anyone knows them anyway. So anyway, so which fiber actually increases GLP-1? The winners are soluble fiber, the fermentable types, and inulin and prebiotic fibers. Those would be the two types of fibers that increase the body's natural production of GLP-1.
Another point when you were saying about GLP-1, that's one of the hormones, but
Mhm.
it's interesting because our body also has other satiety hormones like PYY and
Mhm.
leptin, and it also
Yes.
influences those as well.
Yeah, and lectin resistance is, I haven't talked about that in a really long time, so you might have to refresh my memory on this one. Leptin resistance is a really big contributor to, or maybe not a big contributor, but that was something that I used to talk to a lot too when we were working on gut health, working on your body's like natural production of hormones and how you can feel full and stabilize your weight and things like that. Tell me a little bit more about fiber and leptin.
Well, you know what? I like to use an analogy, and I use this with patients a lot, of our body. It reminds me of like a little bit of a symphony orchestra. So if all the instruments are playing in harmony, then we have balance. And that's what our body is really striving for, is
Hmm.
homeostasis or balance. So it's just one of the many different things that come into balance when we give our bodies what it needs. And one of those things is fiber.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Amber, why do people feel less hungry when with higher fiber diets?
Yeah, great question. And what I think of with that question is GLP-1s. So we
Hmm.
know that there's a lot of talk out there about GLP-1s, and I know from working with patients that one of the things that they report all the time is less food noise.
Hmm.
And so they slow digestion, they slow things down. The food sits in the stomach, can make you feel more satiated.
Hmm.
So fiber increases this GLP-1 in our body.
Hmm.
So that would be one of the things. And it stabilizes our blood sugar, so when we're not having those constant spikes and drops, then it's going to help us to not feel as hungry, because every time we have that drop, then, of course, we're gonna want to try to fill that.
Yeah,
And then the other portion would be how it influences the microbiome.
yeah, definitely. So when people have higher fiber diets, they feel full longer because it's slowing digestion, it's stabilizing blood sugar, and physically it fills the stomach. And what this is helping with is people are going to be grazing less and they're going to have less of those thoughts of like, what else can I eat?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. How does fiber impact blood sugar physiologically?
Yeah, great question. So, what we want with our blood sugar is to have like waves. But what happens is when we, yep, like a wave. So, what happens is whenever we eat, especially like higher sugar foods, but really if we're eating foods without the fiber, then we tend to have spikes and drops. And then those spikes, it sort of reminds you of like a roller coaster ride whenever we're going
Yeah.
real high and really low.
So you want really smooth waves. You don't want these big roller coasters up and down, up and down.
Yeah, because what happens then is it drives in other hormones. So then we have insulin, we have cortisol, we have dopamine that are all following that pathway.
Mhm.
And then that's where we end up with this rebound hunger, with the food noise, the grazing, insulin swings. Yeah.
So fiber is stabilizing those spikes. You eat the fiber, and let's say you have a meal that has a good amount of fiber. It also has carbohydrates, it has some protein, and also it has some sugar in it. Let's say there's fruit or dessert or something. By adding the fiber in, because the fiber slows the digestion, all that sugar that you're consuming doesn't hit your bloodstream all at once. So it helps stabilize blood sugar by slowing down the digestion so your body is absorbing your food and your nutrients at a more consistent pace. That's how it helps you feel full longer, is that it's not just all being taken in right away and you're not getting that big sugar spike and dip. And that's also how it helps with weight gain and weight loss, right? Like when you stabilize your blood sugar, when you have a spike and a drop in your blood sugar, that's when you either get mood swings, you have energy crashes, and you're reaching for more sugar because you just had an energy crash. When you don't have those signals, when you don't have those insane crashes and dips, you're not reaching for more sugar. You're naturally going to be controlling your appetite and suppressing that. So it helps flatten those spikes and prevents crashes. So curious, what is the gut microbiome's role here when we talk about fiber and we talk about how it's feeding our good gut bacteria? What's the gut's role in all of this?
Yeah. I love that question, Amanda. To me, the microbiome is so really interesting. The microbiome or bacteria, microbes that live in our gut. What's interesting is we actually have more of those than we have DNA. So
Mm-hmm.
that just shows how important they are in our body. And I like to sometimes simplify it with patients that we have good guys and bad guys. So the idea is that we feed the good guys with fiber rich foods. The bad guys like the sugar, they like all the lower fiber foods. And so by feeding these bacteria what they want, then we're giving that they give back to us. They're giving us what they call short chain fatty acids,
Mm-hmm.
which help to lower inflammation. They improve insulin resistance. They signal to our brain when we're full. So they actually have everything to do with what we're craving. So we want
Mm-hmm.
to feed the good ones so that and that's funny. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. I'm sure you've heard this with patients as well, but their their taste change when they
Mm.
start, implementing a lot of the real the real whole foods. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. The gut microbiome has such a huge impact on every part. Like there's the gut brain connection, there's the gut immune connection, there is the gut metabolism connection, there is the gut urinary tract
Mhm.
connection, there is the gut mood connection, everything. Your gut connects to everything in your body. That will be a series for us to discuss, right? But yes, I completely agree. The gut's role in all of this, the fiber, first off, the gut plays a huge role overall, and you want a healthy gut for overall health. The Your gut health is a direct reflection of your health. And so a low fiber diet means more sugar loving pro inflammatory bacteria. A higher fiber diet means more short chain fatty acid producing bacteria like butyrate, and that is a lovely place to be. So you want a high fiber diet to have a healthy, diverse gut. Perfect. Love that. Next thing, Amber, fiber and hormones. What's the connection here?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So, when our body makes hormones, it needs to use them, but it also needs to get rid of them, eliminate
Hmm.
them. So, fiber acts like a binder, acts like a broom to be able to bind these up to get rid of them. And what's interesting, too, just a little side point, it's not just hormones. It also does this with cholesterol and bile, metabolic waste, toxins, harmful bacteria. But just circling back to the hormones, like I'll give you,
Mm,
for instance, estrogen.
yeah.
Estrogen's a big one. So a lot of times people end up what we call estrogen dominant. And when that happens, then they end up with having breast tenderness, weight gain, cycle issues.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that this could be prevented by just adding a little bit more fiber into the diet.
Wow. I feel like that's a really big, that's an area that I was not aware of. Estrogen can be reabsorbed through the gut. We know we were talking about this. Fiber helps with elimination, right? You poop things out, that's elimination. And we need to eliminate things from our body because we need to get rid of the toxins that we bring in. It's not just about the toxins, though. There's internal things that we need to get rid of, like you said. Estrogen clearance. Fiber binds to used estrogen in the gut. It helps stimulate it through stool. And the gut microbiome and hormone regulation go very hand in hand. Gut bacteria help regulate estrogen metabolism, and fiber feeds these beneficial bacteria. So a healthy gut equals better hormone signaling. Awesome. So, Amber, for somebody who might not be getting enough fiber today, uh, how should somebody increase their fiber intake? Because you want to do this slow and steady, right? You don't want to go from eating virtually no fiber, like 5 to 10 grams a day, all the way up to 40 grams of fiber a day. I feel like that is asking for more trouble than it's worth, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
when you're helping patients increase their fiber, how do you work with them? What do you do?
Great question. There is a gastroenterologist that I do. He's put out a couple books that I really enjoy. One is
Mhm,
called, the doctor's name is Will Bulsiewicz. Bulsiewicz,
mhm,
I can't say his name, but anyway, the name of his book is called Fiber Fueled. I particularly like the Fiber
mm.
Fueled cookbook. But what his recommendation for fiber, and I think it makes sense to me, is to increase your fiber by 3 grams of fiber per week.
Okay. That seems like a realistic goal.
Yeah, I think so too. And so just to give you an idea what that looks like with food, so we're
Mhm,
talking maybe like flaxseed, a tablespoon,
mhm.
chia seed, a half a tablespoon, beans, a quarter cup, vegetables, a cup,
Okay.
berries, a third of a cup, just to give you an idea what it looks like. And because, Amanda, you know this, I'm sure too, that not everybody's gut is capable of handling it. There's people with gut issues out there, and we have to be cautious in how we do things.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, if you don't have the right gut bacteria to eat all of this,
Mhm.
you're not going to feel great. So, fiber, when your body can digest it, can help with gas and bloating and all of these things. However, if you have a gut environment that has been fed a lot of sugar and processed foods, and you're just starting on this journey, going from 0 to 60 with fiber can cause more bloating and constipation. You do want to introduce this in a way that's right for you, which I think is why it's so great that we have health coaches that can help patients create their own customized plan. They can get their intake for where they are today with their diet and their lifestyle and their symptoms. They get to work on where they want to be, but they get to work with somebody on the right steps on how to get them from where they are today to their desired state with the appropriate plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just makes me think about, sometimes we'll hear patients say, well, like salads will make their
Hmm.
stomach bloat, they won't be
Right.
able to handle it. And that's because there are certain fibers that are harder for your body to digest, but
And those are those leafy greens. Those are the leafy greens, everything in your salad, that's that insoluble fiber that you're eating. And so if you don't have the right gut bacteria, you're so right, Amber. I remember clear as day now when I used to work with coaching clients that like, oh, their baseline might have been like 2 salads a week. And when they went on their weight loss journeys, they would get really frustrated because they would go from a salad once or twice a week to salads for every meal because they were dieting. And I hate the word dieting. You shouldn't diet. You should do a lifestyle shift, right?
Mhm.
Because
Right.
a diet is temporary, but if you want true lasting health and weight loss, these are lifestyle adjustments that you have to make, not just diets to get you a temporary solution or to a temporary goal. Anyway, that was my side tangent. But um, when people are going from one extreme to another, if you increase your fiber too quickly and you don't have the right gut microbiome, you want to get probiotics on board and things like that to start repopulating your gut health. But if you increase too fast, you're going to feel bloating and you're going to not feel comfortable. And when you don't have somebody working alongside you to help educate you on why you might be feeling this way, that's where people are like, I give up, right? Because I thought I was being healthy and I don't feel as good as I think I should. So I'm going to give up. And then they go back to old patterns and old behaviors because they didn't understand why they were feeling this way.
Absolutely. So there's certain fibers, like there's what we call FODMAPs that can be a little
Mhm.
bit harder for some people.
Yep.
So, and the other thing too is the form of the fiber as well. Even like those salads that you talked about, if we put them in the blender and we
Mm,
make them pre-digested, then it can be a little bit easier for your body
like a
to
smoothie.
absorb. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
smoothies, since you mentioned a smoothie, smoothies are an easy way to get
Oh,
fiber.
yeah.
They're so easy.
Overnight oats too. I just started doing a recipe, and I eat like a half of my container of overnight oats for my breakfast now. And it has oats and it has chia seeds and it has some berries in it. And I can't do the whole thing because that's a lot of fiber for me in the morning. And I know that now, but that's my body. But I have the second half with lunch or after lunch is like a little sweet treat. But
Yeah.
there's so many fun and delicious ways to get fiber into your diet that it doesn't have to be hard, but I think that it is still important to understand how to do it for where you are today.
I totally agree.
Do you have a go to favorite product if somebody is trying to increase their fiber intake and they kind of want like a no thought solution? Do you have a go to recommendation for patients?
Mm. You know, I guess I would think of the seeds because they're easy and there's so much benefit to them.
Hmm.
Like ground flaxseed
Yeah.
is is sort of nutty tasting. It just sort of blends with anything. You can add it to your salads and your smoothies. It does have a lot of benefits as well.
Hmm.
But then hemp seed, you're adding some protein. It's not quite as much fiber as the other seeds are, but
Yeah.
it is still a good addition. You know, it's not about one thing, Amanda, as you know, it's all about diversity. So really trying to get, people to just get creative. I remember myself, I don't know if you were like this before, but years ago, I would be like afraid to put anything together, like it's not going to turn out good. But I
Yeah.
just like to encourage creativity in people when it comes to cooking because you can throw like yesterday I made a soup, just pretty much threw anything in there that I had and it turned out
I love
amazing.
those. The chicken not chicken, the kitchen sink soup is what I call it. Like when I'm like down, like I've got scraps of like vegetables, but they can't like make a full meal or a full side, like throw them in a pot and even just like mix them up and then I'll immersion blend them too. And yes, I do the kitchen sink all the time. One thing that I like and I recommend to coaching clients is our soluble fiber from Inwell Biosciences. I do like it. It's just an easy, no thought type of a thing. It is a low FODMAP and it's partially hydrolyzed guar gum, which means it is gentle on the gut and it won't cause things like gas or bloating. And it does help feed the good gut bacteria in the microbiome. So I do like that because then I also like it because it dissolves completely and it doesn't have any grit and it doesn't have any taste. So it's a very low hassle, like easy start for people. Sometimes they don't like my mom's this way. She was like, "Oh, I don't like overnight oats when you put chia seeds in them because they have that jelly, like jelliness to them and stuff." So she actually uses solufiber because it's just no hassle, doesn't have to think about it, can just throw it in with like her morning coffee and stuff like that and like blend it up really quick. So that's a really quick solution for people if they're looking for how can I add that 3 grams a week to get to that 30 to 38 grams of fiber.
Great idea.
Yeah, I like that. So, Amber, this was such a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for joining today. Fiber is not just a side nutrient, it's a metabolic regulator. If you build the right meal, your body responds correctly. So fiber feeds your gut and it controls way, way more than you think. And if this episode was useful, if you learned something, please like, comment, and share. Don't forget to visit forumhealth.com to find a provider near you. Have a great day and see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Forum Health Integrative Medicine podcast. Each episode, we help you understand your health from every angle and inspire your lifelong wellness journey. Follow the show, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a review, and take the next step toward feeling your best at forumhealth.com.